In our pursuit of happiness, we often unwittingly embark on a journey that paradoxically leads to the very opposite of what we seek. This concept may come as a surprise in a world that constantly bombards us with messages that happiness is just around the corner, a mere purchase away, or an achievement within our grasp. Yet despite our passionate chase after happiness, many of us find ourselves more anxious, less content, and even miserable. We must ask ourselves, why is it that the more we strive for happiness, the further it seems to slip from our grasp? Imagine living in a society where every advertisement, social interaction, and self-help book promises some secret formula to happiness. The expectation to achieve and maintain a perpetual state of bliss becomes an overwhelming pressure. Seeing happiness as a destination, a final trophy, creates a cycle of constant longing and dissatisfaction. We become like hamsters on a wheel, perpetually circling, but never arriving at our alleged utopia. Today, we'll explore why this frenetic pursuit might be the source of our unhappiness. We'll delve into the psychology behind our continuous yearning, examine cultural narratives around happiness, and unravel the complex web of emotions tangled in our chase. Rather than viewing happiness as an end, we'll discuss how happiness can organically emerge from living a life of meaning, presence, and connection. Consider a mountain climber standing at the base of a towering peak. They don't fixate solely on the summit, but engage with every step, every rock, every breath. They see the beauty in the journey, knowing it's comprised of both struggles and joys. Our exploration today will be much like that climb, an endeavor to appreciate the path we're on, rather than desperately clinging to a distant summit we may never fully reach. Many of us live under the impression that happiness is a static state, something that once achieved will remain with us indefinitely. We yearn for that ever-after state where everything aligns perfectly. But what if the very act of striving for an idealized version of happiness is what leads to our dissatisfaction? Psychologists have long studied this phenomenon, revealing that our brains have a natural tendency to quickly adapt to positive changes, a concept known as the hedonic treadmill. It explains why achieving a long-sought goal or acquiring a new possession leads to only temporary feelings of joy. We soon revert to our baseline happiness level and resume the chase for the next fix. Consider the story of a person who works relentlessly to earn a promotion, convinced that it will bring them happiness. Initially exhilarated by the achievement, they soon find themselves just as stressed, if not more so than before. The novelty fades, surpassed by the weight of new responsibilities or the realization of another goal unveiling itself on the horizon. This cycle is akin to trying to quench thirst by consuming salty water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. Happiness, when pursued as an end, constantly shifts just out of reach because it is not a singular achievement but a transient state influenced by myriad factors, both internal and external. The pressure to continuously seek more can lead to an endless loop of dissatisfaction. Instead of focusing on gratitude for what we have, we become consumed by what we lack. Ponder for a moment. How different would life be if happiness was seen not as a final goal, but as a fleeting emotion akin to the weather, changing with the winds? Again and again, stories emerge of individuals with immense wealth or supreme achievements, stating that these trappings did not bring the happiness they expected. Such anecdotes remind us that our internal state is not merely a sum of external successes. Even abundant material wealth or social acclaim only offers momentary joy if not grounded in deeper values. Reflecting on this, it becomes clear that one possible shift in our pursuit lies in redefining success. Instead of measuring success by happiness attained, we might evaluate it by the level of authentic engagement with life itself, finding fulfillment in the richness of human experience, both the highs and the lows. Another layer to consider is how cultural narratives shape our understanding of happiness. From a young age, many of us are taught an ideal of happiness, that is sold through tailies, media, and societal norms. These outside influences often propose that happiness is a product of popularity, wealth, beauty, or other socially constructed ideals. When we internalize these narratives and compare them to our own lives, a gap inevitably forms. We develop beliefs that if only we had more money, more status, more validation, we'd be happy. These ingrained beliefs breed conflict within ourselves as we measure our worth against unattainable standards, leading to feelings of inadequacy and despair. Picture for a moment the tale of the farmer who is gifted a horse. Neighbors congratulated him on his good fortune, but the farmer simply responded, "We'll see." The story unfolds with each event bringing changing fortunes, and at every turn, the farmer remains grounded, non-judgmental of each outcome as wholly good or bad. Perhaps, like the wise farmer, we too can cultivate a continuum of detached engagement with life's offerings, understanding that happiness is not exclusively tied to so-called good events. Much can be drawn from viewing happiness not as a permanent condition, but as a temporary state, equally as valid in its absence as in its presence. To reframe our understanding of happiness, we might look to practices that ground us in the present moment. Mindfulness and gratitude, for example, teach us to appreciate each moment for what it is and shift our focus from constant yearning to genuine appreciation. When mindful, we are able to savor simple, often overlooked joys, a shared laugh, a sunset, a silent moment of peace. Such moments reflect an attainable, lived happiness that's woven quietly throughout our daily experiences. Instead of a grandiose pursuit, happiness becomes something that emerges as we live authentically and engage with our surroundings. A well-told tale of intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation illustrates this beautifully. Consider a child who loves to draw. Drawing is an act of joy, of pure expression, unclouded by external reward. Yet when told they will receive a prize for drawing, the act itself becomes overshadowed by its reward. The intrinsic joy fades. Finding personal fulfillment in our actions rather than the rewards or outcomes they produce creates a more resilient foundation for authentic happiness. The realization that happiness arises not from achievement, but from the quality of presence we bring to each moment invites us to cultivate ways of being that naturally lead to contentment. When reliance on external sources for happiness wanes, we unshackle from constant striving and move towards a life of serene acceptance. As we journey further into our exploration, let's contemplate the notion of meaning over happiness. While modern culture often positions happiness as the ultimate endpoint, meaning offers a more enriching and paradoxically fulfilling alternative. Meaning derives from activities and commitments that transcend the self, be it relationships, causes, or contributions to the larger world. By following what intrinsically gives life purpose, a deeper fulfillment is realized, obscuring the need for perpetual happiness chasing. This is akin to the sensation felt in meaningful experiences, a profound conversation with a loved one, the pride in work well done, the serenity of nature, that do not necessarily incite happiness in the traditional sense, but fulfill a genuine sense of belonging and purpose. As Viktor Frankl, a remarkable existential psychologist and Holocaust survivor, once intimated, happiness cannot be pursued, it must ensue. One must have a reason to be happy. His insight suggests that when our existence is anchored in meaning, happiness follows as a byproduct, much like the sunlight that bathes the tree planted in fertile ground. Interestingly, the pursuit of happiness also has the unintended effect of narrowing our emotional palette. To solely focus on achieving happiness often means avoiding other feelings, sadness, anger, frustration, that are integral to the human experience and serve as critical aspects of our growth and understanding. Psychological studies underscore the value of emotional diversity, the capacity to experience a full spectrum of emotions, as a more reliable gauge of psychological resilience. Embracing this diversity guards against the tunnel vision that can arise from a single-minded pursuit of happiness, allowing us to navigate life's inevitable ebbs and flows with greater ease. Consider music for a moment. A symphony is not composed of unending crescendos or constant highs, but a range of dynamics, some quiet, some bold, others melancholic, all essential to the overall impact. In much the same way, allowing ourselves the full range of emotions enriches our lives with depth and texture, far surpassing an unidimensional quest for happiness. Let us pause to understand that accepting the impermanent nature of happiness is an invitation to release control over certain outcomes, to practice letting go. In surrender, an environmental shift within us takes place. By acknowledging that happiness cannot be permanently secured, we open ourselves to an inner freedom that subsists beyond fleeting desires. Thus, instead of clinging to happiness as a constant, we may allow ourselves the grace to experience it as a transient visitor. When happiness arrives unbidden, cherish it, but when it departs, let it go with the understanding that no feeling is final. This acceptance parallels the serenity of watching passing clouds, engaging their form yet accepting their departure with the knowledge they'll return. As we navigate these reflections, consider how reframing our understanding of happiness presents an opportunity for transformative insight, an insight that liberates us from the turbulent cycle of constant seeking and positions us towards a path of enduring contentment. Our foray today concludes by returning to that mountain climber who finds joy not just in reaching the summit, but through the varied and unpredictable journey itself. As she climbs with awareness, each moment shared with companions, each breath amid the clouds, she finds what she sought all along: a peace of happiness within, contentment in presence, and meaning in the mountainside. In the end, perhaps the ultimate lesson to derive is not how to chase happiness, but how to allow it to naturally arise from living fully present in our unfolding story, embracing life's myriad experiences with humility, grace, and endless wonder.